Hello, YouTubers. I want to welcome you to another edition of Bargain Bin Gear. Okay, now, I hope that you've been following the series and that you subscribe, because we often refer to past videos. And by subscribing is an easy way to find those videos. In any case, we were working on a small pedal board, yet that would be quite powerful. And then I took some detours working on a bass cabinet and those kinds of things. But we're back to the little pedal board in this episode. Okay? And specifically, got it pretty nailed down to how many pedals are on there and what order and those kinds of things. And I've gotten the power and the MIDI connected to all the pedals. Okay. And there are some things I discovered that I thought were quite interesting. And one of those is that as far as pedals that make sound, right, there are only four. That's it. For right now, anyway. There's a synthesizer pedal, guitar synthesizer pedal, and then a multi-effects pedal, another multi-effects pedal, and then a looper. And that's it. And what I found interesting about that is that I had just as many pedals, 4 in fact, that control the 4 pedals making audio. So I mean, we're talking a lot of control there, including MIDI, right? So we have a MIDI controller, right? And a little foot switch that controls the MIDI controller, and allows basically 4 preset sounds. And what that does is, I can select any of the 4 pedals on top, select their preset all at the same time, all different presets, hit one button, and it'll switch all 4 pedals to give me the sound that I want. Right, and there's 128 possibilities. Now I have to program them in, which I've yet to do. So anyway, let's take a look at it. Alright, so here's the little board, right, and I've got it hooked up here, and there we go. And so let me tell you how this is set up. First off, these 3 pedals takes us to the end of the board, and none of those produce sound. They're all to control the 4 pedals above, right here. Okay, that's the idea so far. And there's a few shortcomings, and I'll tell you all about it. But going across, we've got the Soul Man, right, MIDI controller right here. Okay, then we have an AB switch. It's not really an AB switch. It's a switch that basically, if you take a look right here on this panel, and it hits the switches, it goes up per panel, or down per panel. And those are because the Soul Man has 4 presets for every panel. It has 128, so I mean a lot of different sounds you can make there. And then each sound is controlled with these 4 switches. Okay. Then we have Disaster Area Designs, MIDI clock. Awesome. And then we're at 120 beats per minute right here. It's a preset, so I don't even have to tap the tempo in. And you'll see if I hit this switch, right, takes us to preset 2, 126 beats per minute. Preset 3, oops, I skipped it. Preset 4, 89. Okay, preset 6, 146. Preset 7, 126. So let's get back to preset 1, which is kind of default, 120 beats per minute. Alright, so these pedals control right now a pedal, right, Boss synthesizer pedal, line 6 M5, big oldie pedal, which I really like, and next to it H9, right, and then here's a little Boss RC5 looper, right, very nice. Okay, and basically I've got the MIDI all synced up to these pedals, and you'll see that the light right here, right, showing each beat, and you can see it here, and it syncs up with the line 6 M5, for example, light-wise, pretty close. And the H9 and the M5 should be pretty close too. And one thing you can see is on the H9, if I switch to a different preset using the smart clock, right? You see how it switches the beats per minute? I still have a piece of tape on there because I should probably take that off. But basically it's just covering the LCD until it's ready to use. But anyway, this shows you the beats per minute. And then finally the RC5 is synced via MIDI as well. Okay? So, that's the idea thus far. Okay, now, there's some shortcomings, some things I have to deal with. Number one, MIDI controllers on there pretty solid, pretty good. So is the pedal for it. In between here we have the adapter. Right, so that's taking up a little space. I mean, I could get a right angle one and save about, I don't know, maybe not even half an inch right here. So I don't know if that's worth doing. Okay, but here's the thing. Well, this is, a Behringer amp pedal, basically, but I'm using it to control the Soul Man. Well, look, take a look. It has a huge cable. Let's see, I kind of tucked it in there. Look at that. Can you believe it? Look at that. Huge. So, one thing I may do is cut it and get it to fit better, on the pedal. That would look a lot nicer. Anyway, so there's one thing. Second thing is, I'm using if you hopefully have been subscribing and following the channel, you'll know that I got these mono price little MIDI cables, right? They're like $1, $1.29 or something crazy like that. And as a result, especially on this MIDI clock, which has a MIDI in and a MIDI out, one on each side, right? So that takes up a huge amount of space on the board. And the only way I could get it to actually stay on the board is the MIDI is right here. It's not a right angle. Now, if I had right angle MIDI cables, right, possibly that could stay on that way. It would be close, though, even then. So I had to move the smart clock up. It doesn't look quite as nice, Let me get it back to preset 1. So I had to move it up, right, so that the MIDI cable would fit there. And then there's another one on the other side, right here, right, and it's not even on the board. Now, one thing I could do, and I should probably do that, I don't know why I didn't, is I'm going to unhook this, I'm going to unhook this MIDI cable, right, and then it's going to run in between here, if I can, right, or even above here, and then it'll kind of fit better, you know. It'll be kind of like this. See on the Soul Man right here, I've got it kind of a right angle-ish. It's just a regular MIDI cable, but it's tucked into the board. So I'll probably do the same thing here, okay? Yeah. Okay, then up here, same kind of problem. There's the boss pedal, right? However, it's barely fitting on the board, right? Right here. And the reason is, well, guess what? You don't have a right angle MIDI cable, just a standard MIDI cable right here. And that's taking up a huge amount of space, so this pedal barely fits on the board as it is. If you had a right angle MIDI cable, the pedal would fit on. It's actually hanging off the side here. Okay? And then the M5 and the H9 are okay. Right here. And I'm kind of cheating here too. There's no chance that this little loop station pedal, right? I mean, it's powered up and everything. It's got MIDI and power. But for the audio, right? Well, there's no space, right? You're going to have two output guitar pedals here. And those will run out to the amps and things. That's the output. Right? That's the last pedal in the chain. So, the audio, you know, unless you got a right angle audio cable, and even then, you're really pushing it. You know, and then the inputs here are okay. And it's on the edge of the board as it is. So this is how much space I have. If I have a right angle audio cable, it could work. Okay? So these are all things to consider, which is fine. And the reason I'm doing it this way is to see where I would benefit from a right angle MIDI cable, right? And a lot of them, you know, I just use the standard, the little dollar mono price MIDI cables, for example, and see what audio cables I need for it too. Okay, now another thing I want to show you is, I hope you've been watching previous videos, and I did a video on the RC5, and in particular MIDI, right, MIDI control, and the Boss SY200 is no different, and that is that they both use MIDI A, right, which I didn't even know existed. But basically, you need a little adapter, because here you've got a MIDI connection, right? But on the actual unit itself, right here, if I can get to it, right, you have a little, kind of like a little headphone jack, 1/8 inch jack, right? Tiny. Alright, now, there's a couple things I want to show you here. On the Boss Looper, I needed this little adapter cable right here. This will go under the board. And there's the MIDI cable. And the reason is because it needs MIDI cable A. The problem is, I need another one for the Boss SY200. over here that needs the guitar synthesizer pedal. But you can see the MIDI and the power is all set. And I want to show you under the board, though. You have to clean that up a little bit. Ooh, boy, that's a heavy. Alright, I don't know if you can see under there, but there's a big old spaghetti of stuff, of cables. So, gotta get that kind of cleaned up a little bit here. Okay, now there's one other thing. Wouldn't you know it, this little RC5 loop pedal, I mean, I could use it as is, but every time I'd stop, right, I'd have to hold down the pedal here. Yeah, right here, you know, and as expected, without buying the Boss foot switch, which is like 70 or 80 bucks, right? Highly inflated price, I'm afraid. Well, the only pedal I found that works is this thing. And, of course, it's big, right? And doesn't fit on the board, right? And what's it used for? Well, I'll show you. Alright, if I hit this switch once, you'll see it turns red. So it's recording right there, right? And hit it again. Starts to play back. And to stop it, right, is quite something else. I mean, I could hold down this pedal, but you're going to hear a little, you know, it's going to play a little bit until it ends the loop. Whereas here, when I've got the, let's say it's playing back right here, and I want it to stop and clear the thing, right, using that external foot switch, it clears it. And now we're ready to record again. So here it's recording, and I'll hit the switch and now it's playing back. Alright, and now I want to stop it. I can hold down on this pedal, right? But that does not clear it. So anyway, there's the board for now. And I think it's quite interesting that really, if you add the little looping external pedal there that I showed you, that'd be 1, 2, 3, and 4. All these pedals on the bottom don't produce any sound, and they're all used to control these 4 pedals on the top. So you have as many pedals to control the pedals as you do the ones that actually make sound. Just 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now I've got some audio cables on the way, and needs a little work, just cleaning up the cables and things, and then we'll see where we're at and see if there's not a way to add that 4th pedal somewhere. We'll see. So there you go. That's where the pedal board is right now. And it turns out I have large patch cables, audio cables, and very small ones. And as it turns out, the small ones don't fit. They're not long enough to go from one pedal to the other due to where the audio jacks on the pedals are. Some are on the top, some are on the side, that kind of thing. So, in a bold move, I went ahead and ordered something. It was like a 6-pack. Just little plastic patch cables. right? And see how that goes. Right, it gives me a better idea of what eventually will be needed, you know, once I really solidify it, this pedal board. Now the midi's all set, except for one pedal, and that's the Boss SY200, because it is very similar to the looping pedal, which is the Boss RC5. Okay, and for whatever reason, those take little 1/8 inch, little tiny, like headphone type jacks, out to a MIDI, standard MIDI, except that it's MIDI A. And I've discovered, and we kind of went over this in previous videos, we need an adapter for that. Well, I had ordered 2, unfortunately I only received 1. So I'm 1 short in that sense. Now here's a couple of other things. Without some right angle MIDI cables, right, some pedals are not going to line up right. You know, now you can adjust for that a little bit. But eventually, if I want to keep this kind of board and have it look a little better, you know, the right angle MIDI cables might have to be purchased. Okay, that's one thing. Though I really don't like to do that. You know, since I have standard MIDI cables that work. And that brings me to the next thing, and this is quite a problem. And that is that the looper pedal, it'd be very nice to get that extra pedal on there to control it. And I mean, I could buy a $70, $80 foot switch for it, so I really don't want to do that. And even then, I'm not sure that it would fit on this board at all. And as you saw, the foot switch that we do have is pretty big, right? And as it is, it will not fit on that board. Okay? There's a couple of solutions to that. One is just have it not be on the board itself. That's one possibility. Another possibility is to purchase a larger board and basically get rid of this one and make a much larger board. Possible, right? Or another solution is to get a little creative. You know, I mean, maybe we could add a little panel to make the pedal board longer, you know, and could then get more pedals. I'm not sure how that will progress. You know, now keep in mind, you know, I mean, Eric Johnson has played plenty of shows where his pedal board is basically a piece of wood. You know, like almost like, you know, like a sheet of 4x8, and they just cut it and made that's his pedal board. That's one way of doing it, for sure. Now here's another thing, is the spaghetti of cables underneath the pedal board is unbelievable. Alright, so let me show you here's the underside of it, and you can see there's quite a few cables there. Let me clean that up a little bit. Right there. So at the moment, I'm just waiting on the audio cables to arrive, and also trying to figure out if we have space or can make space for another pedal, and possibly get some right angle MIDI cables so that pedals will fit better on the board. We'll see. We'll see. Or replace the board with a bigger board. We could do that too. Don't know yet. Okay. So stay tuned until the next episode. Alright, very good. See you next time. Okay. Bye.